Hi YouTube, Luminousz Ztarr here. Welcome to my channel, Luminousz Ztarr. If this is your first time visiting, welcome. And for those of you who are current subscribers, you know you are truly my stars. Mwah! Thank you so much for your subscription and your support. Guys, today's video is going to be a presentation. As you can see here, I'm going to try not to go over 20 minutes, okay? So I'm going to keep this fairly brief. Thank you guys for your patience in advance. Okay, as you can see here, the title is The Energy and Spirit of Narcissists, and this should be a pretty good one. Well, I hope you enjoy it. So at the end of the video, please hit the like and or subscription button, and also send me comments and questions. All questions, please send them to my email address, which is listed below in the description box. All right, guys, here we go. Okay, the spirit and energy of narcissists. All right, here are the points here. Point number one, it is often early in life that the narcissist devalues and begins to disregard their higher consciousness. The true self is at this point bound deep within the individual, causing one to operate in a lower vibrational frequency. Now guys, I'm not going to read the whole thing. As you can see here, you can go ahead and read the rest of it at your convenience. But the first point here, I just want to say something. You know, I'm also going to be giving points. If I didn't mention, I'm going to go ahead and end the video by giving points. Okay, I'm sorry, by giving the tools. But I want to say here for the first point. Now, when a person is, you know, when they are walking around and they are not of a higher vibrational frequency, what does that mean? Okay, of course, yes, they're on a lower vibrational frequency, which means, okay, they can be walking around not really aware of what they're feeling and how they're feeling. You guys remember in some of my videos how I talk about being mindful, which is very important, especially for those of us who have been traumatized, right? Being mindful is something that helps us to make great decisions, because we know how we feel. We know what we think, and we know how we think, and we know what we feel, and we know how we feel. This helps us. This is a great guide to making decisions. So if you're walking around and you're disconnected from your higher self, which is your consciousness, that means you're walking around pretty much a person who is not aware of how he or she feels, and more than likely you're not going to care about how anyone else feels. Okay, so I just want to, you know, say that about the first point. Okay, moving on to the second point. The energy that narcissists often choose to embody is that of a lower vibrational frequency. Okay, seductive, suggestive, hostile, aggressive, deceptive, mischievous, perverse, and destructive. This kind of goes, you know, with the first point that I was talking about here, the examples that I was giving. It kind of goes hand in hand with that. A person who embodies low vibrational frequency energy, right? Because we all comprise of energy. All of us have an energy that we embody. We have spirit that we embody, okay? So narcissists who are operating from a lower vibrational frequency, they embody an energy, right, of a lower vibrational frequency. Again, when you are disconnected from your higher self, which is your true self, then that means another type of energy, something else, has to take its place. I hope you guys are understanding where I'm coming from here, because if you are a person who is disconnected from your higher self, then that means a lower vibrational frequency must take place. We cannot operate on this planet at all without having a spirit or energy within us. That's just impossible. You know, you have to have something inside of this shell that we call this vehicle that we call a body. Okay, so moving on to point number 3. The higher self consists of the capacity to the natural desire. Okay, keep that in mind. The natural desire to connect with others. Now, this have something to do with the higher self. Also, when we have a higher self, right, this means that we have the capacity to empathize, sympathize, nourish, love, form meaningful relationships with ourselves and others. Okay, and there's a whole host of things that goes with this, but I think you guys are getting the picture. Let's move on to point number 4. Narcissists usually embody energy and spirit. This is in tune to their basic primal natures, which feed the flesh only. So this means the higher self, right, that narcissists tend to disconnect from. That means the spirit, they don't nurture the spirit, they nurture the flesh. Okay, so the nature of narcissists are that of predators, because again, the narcissist tends to focus in and nurture and actually feed. Probably feed is more accurate than to say nurture. Narcissists tend to feed their basic primal natures. And we all have a basic primal nature. Okay, we all have that. But that is of the lower self, which is connected to the flesh. Point number 5. When a person is void of their higher self and consciousness, which is connected to the true self, another form of energy and or spirit must be embodied. Again, we cannot exist on this planet just a shell of a body. There's a spirit and an energy that must be possessed. We must all have that within. Doesn't matter if it's a higher or lower self, a higher or lower vibrational frequency. That energy and that spirit must be embodied. The final point. The higher the consciousness, the more authentic a person shows up in the world. The lower the consciousness, the more inauthentic a person shows up in the world. That means, I think you guys get it, but I'm going to go ahead and say it anyway. The lower consciousness means a person is operating inauthentically. They're not true. They're being fake. They're being false. And a higher consciousness means a person is more authentic. They're closer to their true self. So that is how they'll show up in the world. Okay, let's move on. The tools, all right? Tool number 1, release the energy from the toxic relationship with the narcissist. It is imperative, right? I want to say something about that first tool. It is imperative to release that energy from the toxic relationship, because that means if we do not, the narcissist will still be able to feed. There's a energy cycle that will remain fixed and locked no matter how many years ago the narcissist was in our lives. It doesn't matter. It could be 10 years ago. It could be 5. The bottom line is it is imperative that the energy cycle is broken. That way the narcissist cannot continue to feed off of you. Okay? And again, this has a lot to do with the energy and spirit that each individual embodies. Okay, so tool number 2, reshift your focus and reclaim your life. Okay, so reshift your focus, meaning don't focus so much and become obsessed with the narcissist, where they be, who they be with. Okay, it doesn't matter. Move forward. And this goes for even family members who have cluster B personalities. If you know that they have hurt you in the past and they are continuing to be abusive, why would you give them place in your life? Reshift your focus on your own life. What are your goals? If you don't have any, yes, make a list of goals. What are your passions? If you don't have any, get some. Okay? Yes. Focus on your own life. What are your priorities? Who do you honor? What do you value? Yes, reclaim your life. All right, so going on to tool number 3, forgive yourself. Don't become so obsessed about whether or not to forgive the narcissist or not. Start with yourself and then extend out to someone else. Forgive yourself first and foremost. This is your time to take care of yourself. Now, I want to go ahead and suggest to you guys to watch my video, Breaking the Energy Cycle. This has so much to do with what we're talking about here. Now, I was mentioning earlier about when the toxic relationship is over, it is imperative that that energy cycle be broken so the narcissist cannot continue to feed. Now, one way that they continue to feed from you, of course, is if you give them place in your life. You're around them all the time. You're spending time with them. You're sharing space with them. See, narcissists can feed from that. But if you move on from their life, and you have gone no contact, say for instance, you don't call them on the phone, you don't socialize with them on social media. I mean, you've moved forward. And you're working on your own life. You're working on your own support base. See, all of these things are in place, right? So the narcissists, they will continue to feed off of you, even if you have space between you, even if you have moved to another state, even if you don't even share a space with them, you're not living with them, you're not socializing with them. See, they will continue to feed off of you energetically, psychically even, okay, because you're thinking about them. You're thinking about the past. You're thinking about how they did you wrong. You're thinking about the narcissistic injury, the narcissistic abuse. And I'm speaking from the perspective of a person who has suffered from narcissistic injury. When a narcissist doesn't want to face the fact that he or she has been wounded, right? They don't want to face their own humanity. Then they get angry and they up the ante on the abusive behavior. So they say, from the narcissist perspective, that's narcissistic abuse. I speak from the perspective of the person who's been on the receiving end of that narcissistic injury. And that is when a narcissist, they have narcissistic injury. And in my opinion, well, actually, no, from my experience, what the narcissist does is they also injure. When they are suffering what they say narcissistic injury, the narcissist seeks to injure others. That's what I say. And I'm speaking from the perspective of one who has suffered the injury, okay, and the harm of the narcissistic injury. I've been on the receiving end, okay? So that's the perspective I speak from. Guys, again, these tools are listed here, and I hope that they proved, should you apply them to your life, I hope that they prove to be very effective for you. I know they have for me. So again, I want to suggest, watch my video, Breaking the Energy Cycle. This actually can go very well with these, with this presentation here. Okay, guys, thank you so much for watching. Wherever you are, I hope you are taking very good care of yourself. Until next time, stay tuned for more.